Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast, sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives veterans, male spouses, active military members, military family members, and patriotic military supporters a voice in the veteran space to speak about their service, how they're affecting their communities post-service, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has shaped their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I am so excited to have with me Moni Jefferson, who is an active duty Air Force male spouse and innovator committed to social impact and an accomplished multi-venture entrepreneur, specializing in public relations, marketing strategy, business development, and community building. Moni is known for advocating for military spouse entrepreneurs and international speakers across local and national venues. Since 2014, Moni has helped build and scale multiple military spouse programs. Moni was invited to the White House and featured in Military Spouse magazine, on the NASDAQ Tower in Times Square, Inc., and Forbes Next 1,000 entrepreneurs for her work. She is currently the CEO and founder of the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, or AMSI, since 2019, and has helped over 10,000 plus military spouses all around the globe to start, scale, and sustain their businesses. AMSI is the first fully digital military spouse entrepreneur program and platform with education, community, digital master classes, resources, national partners, and more. It was built by military spouse entrepreneurs for military spouse entrepreneurs. AMZ was inducted into the DoD's Military Spouse Employment Partnership in its first year for its work and impact on the military spouse community. Moni is also known for working in the tech space and has created and raised capital for her three military lifestyle apps: Milcam, Milemoji, and My Ultimate PCS. Moni holds a Bachelor of Science from the University of North Carolina at Pembroke in Communications and Public Relations and is a member of Lambda Theta Alpha Latin Sorority, Inc. Hello, Moni. Thank you so much for joining me. What an incredible bio. I don't know where to start, but I do know where to start. So
Sometimes I forget.
I
Like you were reading, I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." Like,
right, I know. So the funny thing about it is I think you and I first met on My Ultimate PCS.
yeah,
PCS, right. I think
yeah,
that it was a podcast or something that you did with Maria Reed, I think. Is that who it was? And and
yeah,
and I was giving tips on how to downsize and how JDog could help, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it feels like yesterday, but it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a collaboration and venture that I had with another military spouse, small business owner, Maria Reed.
Right.
So it was an app. It was for PCSing. It was just to simplify PCSing, putting it all on an
Right.
app. At the time, there was nothing out there for it.
Sure.
Uh, since then, each branch of the military has created one.
Right.
But yeah, it was great having you on. And we were really just trying to get the word out there about other ways military families could have successful, stressless businesses. So
Right.
obviously, great to have you on there.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So anyway, I would love. I know we have much to talk about, but I would love to start with how did you meet your husband, and how did you get involved in this military lifestyle?
So I'm actually a military kid. My dad was in the
Oh
army,
wow, okay,
and that is how I met my husband. My dad got stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I met Roy. He was a senior in high school, and I was a freshman,
oh
and we
wow,
barely met. And he graduated, and I stayed in school, and then um, literally walked into a Taco Bell one day, and I asked him for his phone number. Like I've seen him before, I had been in school with him before, but something that day I was like, "Hi, can I get your number?" And
I love it.
we've been together ever since.
That's great.
So his dad was in the military and retired there in Louisiana, and then my parents ended up retiring, and that's how I met Roy.
Wow, wow.
Uh,
So did he go into the military right from high school?
So Roy was out of the military, or we were together for 2 years. He was in college. Then he went into the
Okay.
military in 1999.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he went in, and yeah, we've been living this life since.
Wow. So, and I had an actual another mill spouse on my podcast. Her name is Amy Zender. Um, she grew up as a military brat, and she was saying how that lifestyle kind of prepared her to be a mill spouse. And she it wasn't culture shock at all. She sort of knew what she was signing up for. So I imagine you might say the same thing about yourself.
Yeah, I would say the lifestyle itself is not new, like not living in the same place, not being around family. But I will say there are different ways that you need to adapt from being a military kid and like, oh, we're moving. I got a new room, new school, new clothes, like this whole new fun adventure that like, my parents always made
Right.
it seem like we were moving and stopping and visiting places along the way. As a military spouse, there's so much more because you have to create that. You
Right.
have to create that for your spouse and your family. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, the shock of moving, the shock of them being gone or deployed, or kind of sometimes the heaviness that the military is in your home because of the member, depending on where they work at and what they do, was not a shock. The adapting to, okay, this is not fun anymore. I
Right.
have to figure out how to make this house a home. I have to pivot. I have to learn to do these things to make it happen. And eventually, with the kids and everything, that eventually started to really come full circle
Right.
because I started to think of my mom in those moments
Sure.
as a military spouse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it does make it easier, but it makes it possible, but it's not necessarily easier because you're adapting in a whole different way.
Right. Right. Right.
I agree with her.
Good points. Good points. I love that. So we know military spouse life, as you sometimes and have just talked about, is not really for the faint of heart. And we've heard about just the challenges that you all deal with. But I would love to know if there is one thing about the mill spouse life that you wouldn't trade for anything in the world.
Oh my gosh. Goodness, there's so much. Um, I always try to find the good out of whatever situation I'm in. And in this life, you have to. If not, you'll be like detrimental to yourself the whole time. For me, I would say, getting to be around different cultures
Mm,
and learning from people from different backgrounds, even in the United States, not necessarily even having to live overseas, but people from that live in states that I've never been to that have different backgrounds, different norms and values, and being able to have, break bread with them, learn about them, their family, how they grew up, and still being able to come together as a community. And no matter what, you could live in Washington State. I've never been there, but we may meet at one installation and be able to, because we have that one common thread,
right. Yeah.
to build a relationship. And the relationships are not always the same. They're not always very deep. Sometimes they're just enough to get you by in that installation or that season that you're in. And I really love that we're able to do that. And as spouses, we're able to do it in a way that's very authentic because I need you as much as you need me in that season. So I really love being able to have kind of that Rolodex
Right.
of different spouses in different seasons, different branches, different cultures, different religions, just to be able to sit down and break bread and learn about them has really allowed me to see the world in a different way. So
Right.
I would say that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I know that you're the CEO and founder of AMZ, Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. But I would love to know what came before. I mean, you kind of helped and build and scale military spouse programs. Talk to me a little bit about that journey, and then we'll go to the journey of how you discovered AMZ?
Yeah, so in 2014, I started writing a blog. And like I was mentioning earlier, I really wanted to write it, focus more on the positive things that maybe other spouses hadn't seen or ways to encourage spouses. So I started writing for Lincoln Military Housing. And I got a $75 check in the mail. And honey, that was like catalyst for me. I was like, wait, somebody's paying for my opinion about this installation. This is not on to something. Um,
Wow.
I always felt because I'm like, $75 for me at the time was like so much because I was a stay at home mom
Sure.
in that season. And I really was looking for an outlet to use some of my skills and creativity. And I didn't know what it was. And so I just took a chance and started writing. And then I started thinking, well, what else can I do with this? First of all, public relations degree that I haven't really used other than to like manage the people in my house,
Right.
and mom groups moving from base to base. But really just trying to figure out, what can I do with it? And that's when they started to learn more about other military spouses that were running organizations, for profit, nonprofits, and really going after advocacy and building platforms and community. And I really fell in love with that concept. I just fell in love with it. And I started working with Vernice Castillo over at National Military, MSAN, Military Spouse Advocacy Network.
Mm-hmm.
And I just learned so much from her and started managing and directing their PR, their marketing, and helped them in that season for those 2 years. And in that time, I started to learn about the other programs, deep diving, collaborating, networking. And it really did something to my spirit to be able to bring spouses together and share resources. Like if somebody was looking for something,
Mm-hmm.
then I knew where to send them to. It's not on the DoD website sometimes,
Right.
like if there's
Sure.
spouses out there doing things to help you, let me show you who that is or where you can get that resource. And that really just fueled me. And so, my time at MSAN kind of came to an end, because I wanted to do more and I wanted to start getting paid for some of the big work that I was doing. And so I opened up Dog Tags and Heels PR, and I started working with a lot of other military spouses to help them in their businesses with visibility, with figuring out how to navigate business. And it just kind of rolled from there. It just kind of started to roll from there, from one organization and then consulting with another organization on military spouse needs, and kind of really helping them with campaigns. So it went from one to the other, and before I knew it, I was like really just serving the military spouse community or the military community in general.
Wow, that's really great. I love that. Um, so I imagine you kind of put all these little pieces together, and that's what kind of led you to found the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, correct?
Yeah, so in that time, okay, I didn't do this all by myself. I needed help.
Right.
And I knew if I needed help, there were other spouses that needed help trying to figure out how to do business. So I started a little Facebook group. At the time, that's when Facebook groups were starting. And I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to like find out how other spouses are managing their businesses. Like, how are they doing this? And so I started that group and learning more about that group and then the resources they were using to build their businesses, and started taking those programs and started to realize that they were not specifically curated to help military spouses build web-based movable businesses. Um, and so I started sharing the resources in there, started interviewing other spouses who were actually building businesses and saying, hey, come share all your secrets with us. Like, how are you doing it? And interviewing them and really just spotlighting and showcasing other spouses that were building, scaling, collaborating, networking, and just providing that resource where other spouses weren't getting it.
Mm.
So that's really that's really how it all started with the Facebook group. I mean, really, that's why Meta is one of our partners here at AMC. Um, they're like, "How did you start this little Facebook group?" And now it's like it shows that like community is really where it's at.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah. Hello, viewers and listeners. The Tactical Treasures podcast is honored to be a part of the Reese Across America radio family. We are proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reese Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Reese Youth Sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTSD. You can donate right now at reaseacrossamerica.org/JDog. Thank you so much for supporting the JDog Foundation through Reese Across America Radio. Now back to the podcast. So tell me a little bit about AMZ. What exactly is it all about? Is Does a military spouse say, "Oh my gosh, I have this great idea for a business," and they come to you, and then what happens? Is that how it works?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we are an online digital verified platform where military spouses can come in and join during their time, during their season, whether they are new spouses, seasoned spouses, just to have an idea spouse. Like, I don't have a business, but I have an idea. And sometimes it takes being around community to get that idea kind of mulling and watering it and, seeding it and all of those things. But they come to us because they've already exhausted all the other resources that teach you how to build a business. And they all are doing such a great job teaching you fundamentals. What spouses need are curated resources to help them. And so our digital platform, number one, gives them the community that they need to ask questions, grab resources during their time on their time zone in the season that they're available to start a business or take time to study and invest in starting a business. And then we have events. So these events allow spouses to connect with one another, but also ask questions from experts who can help them in certain areas of their business. So really at the end of the day, the goal is to help the spouse find new clients, make money, and move their business. I mean, we do have a mission, vision, and values. It's at the end of the day, we want to help military spouses make money because it helps with retention rate,
Sure.
right? It helps our military ecosystem and create economic stability for our families at the end of the day, because it does really take two incomes. But spouses can't work a full-time job, especially if they want to nurture their family and be home for their family. So entrepreneurship, whether you go full throttle, whether you go 5 hours a week, is really just a way to be able to build that economic stability with your family, support your family, whatever it is, whether you want to build a corporation or you want to pay for, I don't know, cheerleading, those extracurriculars that are expensive.
Sure. Yeah.
Military families need the money to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the events that you're talking about, are they virtual events online?
Yes, so we have virtual events online. We have between 3 to 5 events every month, and we have chapters. So we have some chapters where you can go and meet other spouses in person and connect with them. And it's been growing a lot, especially lately, after COVID, after everything that's been happening. People are like, okay, I'm tired of being home. I really enjoyed it, but now I want to get out and meet Tracy in person,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just getting back to old fashioned networking is what I'm calling it.
Yeah.
That's really where the magic happens.
Yeah, definitely. I hear you there. Wow, that's really amazing. So I have to ask you though, because now we've come to that time in the podcast where I need to know what your tactical treasure is, Moni.
Oh my gosh. I thought about this a lot, and I really feel like there's so many different things that we all hold inside that allows us to be able to do the things that we are each called to do, right? Like, you have a gift, I have a gift. But I would say mine is collaboration. I have built everything I've done. This relationship, for example, we met at a bar at Mick. Networking,
right? We did.
Collaboration. That is magic, and that is a sweet spot for me. So it's really just collaborating, seeing people and organizations for who they are, what they can bring to the table, and then helping them and helping us all come together for the greater good. So I would say that is mine.
That's a great tactical treasure, because when you think about it, I mean, as you're building a business or a brand, or it's all about collaboration, networking, and community at the end of the day, right? And it's funny that I do remember now that we met 2019, and I had gone with Jerry to the Military Influence Conference, and it was our first conference, and we were just kind of getting the word out about JDog, and I, you know, we I had the honor of being featured on the cover of the Military Spouse magazine, even though I'm not a military spouse. But it was all about, what it's like to be married and work with your spouse and build a business, And I remember feeling like a fish out of water. And I said to Jerry, I said, we've been in the veteran space for a while, and I'm a very patriotic military family member. I come from not a military brat, but, my brother served, my stepfather served, my grandfather served. So I've always kind of had that very patriotic country spirit. But I just thought, I'm really nervous going into this space. I'm not a military spouse. I haven't grown up as a military brat. I don't know what to expect. And I remember being very nervous. And I I was blown away that night that all these military spouses, Stephanie Brown, I can't even, came up to me and thought, Tracy Flanagan, oh my gosh, we're meeting you. It's like, oh my gosh, these people have no idea. I'm like a nobody, I just,
I mean, don't we all feel like that though
right.
sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, but I was so humbled, but everybody just wanted to shake my hand and meet me and say, oh, that was a great article. And we talked, and I felt a part of the community, and it was such an honor, and it was just such amazing and so welcoming that I felt automatically like, okay, I'm family. I'm family.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was
And
good.
it's about at the end of the day. I mean, we're all here. We all want to have a good life. We all want to take care of our families. And everybody brings something unique to the table. So collaboration is for me, it's the foundation of what I do.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I think it's a great tactical treasure. It's awesome. And I love what you're doing at AMZ. I think it's great, because, it is very hard for military spouses to have a career and to have a job when they move every 2 to 3 years. How many PCSs have you done? I know you just finished one, right?
Just finished a move. We're about to retire.
Yeah.
It's been it's been a lot. So we've done I think either 12 or 14.
Oh
I
my
have to sit
gosh.
down and count.
Wow.
It's been a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. And it, when the spouses come to our community and we get together in these calls, and you can read the faces on the screen, and for them to just find a place where like we get it is like they found their home.
Yeah.
Like I know that they understand it's hard for me to build this business while my spouse is deployed, and it's hard for me to figure out how to do these things because I've never done it before. And everybody in the community just embraces each other. So it's really for me, that's what keeps me going when a spouse says, I've done this, I established my LLC, I finished my taxes, or I got my first client. I mean, it's 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 great because it does a lot to their
Yeah.
self-esteem, their mental health as
Hmm.
well. I don't think a lot of people talk about that. We're talking about
Right.
how it's hard to find a job and all these things. Well, think about the mental health portion of not being able to use your skill and talent. Not to say that serving in your home is not enough, but our spouses are they have so much talent,
Right.
so much
Yeah.
education, and them having this outlet and doing something. That $75 check did so much for
Hmm.
me, my self-esteem, my mental health, my feeling of worthiness. And that's what we hope that the spouses get from joining our
Hmm.
community, whether it's a resource or a person or an event that sees them or helps them or supports them.
Yeah. Yeah. Military spouses, you guys sacrifice so much. You really do. You sacrifice degrees, careers, and everything. And sometimes just the virtual job or, being an entrepreneur kind of is really one of the ways that you can, earn a living and, be that two income family. But it's tough. It's a tough road.
It
So
is.
so we've talked a lot, and believe me, my hats go off to you ladies. I have so much respect for you guys, and you guys serve too. And I forgot to say at the beginning of the podcast, thank you for your service and your husband's
Oh,
service, Moni. Really,
thank you,
truly.
Tracy. I appreciate it.
Um, but you've had so much words of wisdom to offer during this podcast. Do you have any other little nuggets that you would share for fellow mill spouses navigating this military life that sometimes has great stuff in it, but challenges at the same time?
Yeah, I would encourage you that if you're listening to this, and whether you're a new spouse or a seasoned spouse and you're hitting a rough patch, follow your heart. Follow your heart and go with your gut. And sometimes it seems really, really hard, and there are going to be so many barriers, whatever it is that you're after or want to do or want to change, to have and create a happy life. Follow. Don't wait, and don't wait. I would say that's my biggest one. Do not wait.
Don't
I speak
wait.
to so many spouses that are just retiring. They're like, oh, I'm just starting a business. And they're like, I wish I would have done this before,
Right.
years
Yeah.
ago. Just get started. It doesn't have to, don't wait to do it. Just little by little. Some progress is some progress. It doesn't have to be 1,000%. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's your life. And so just go for it and don't wait. Make your life happen. What I did in the early stages, I stayed home, and that was my season. I look back and I'm like, I could have done other little things to make it happen,
Right.
to not have to wait, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be so much further ahead. Just don't wait. There is space for you to go after that thing you want to do. You just have to create it.
Yeah. I love it. That's great advice. Great advice. Oh, so many words of wisdom. I love it. Well, you've been doing this a long time, so great stuff, Moni. And you are truly a motivational, inspirational, with everything that you've done and accomplished. It's really awesome. So before you go, tell us where we can find and connect with you, and how can people find out more information on AMSI, Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say thank you for having this podcast. Thank you for having me. And thank
Of
you for
course.
highlighting so many spouses, just giving them a voice. I mean, you don't know what you're doing for so many of us. So just giving us an opportunity to share our story, our journey, and just you being so supportive, just it means the world to our community.
Oh, thank you.
And I will say, you can find me at Moni Jefferson anywhere. You can find and join ANSI at ANSImembers.com. It's super easy. It is a verified platform. We do verify that you are a military spouse before you join us, so that you know you're amongst friends once you join our digital platform. And yeah, just look out for us and join our email list so that we can share all the up and coming cool stuff we have going on in 2025.
Oh, that's really awesome. So I didn't ask, is there a charge for becoming a member?
So it is free. Once you're a part of the organization, there are opportunities where you can pay for high level coaching or high level course support. Those we do have fees for those, but initially joining to get the resources, the discounts, the digital platform, be a part of the Military Spouse Entrepreneur Directory that goes out to 70,000 printed issues. There's a directory where people can search your business. That's all free.
Okay.
So
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. That's great. Oh, thank you so much, Moni. It's been so great to talk and connect with you again, right? And thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. Such great information, and you are truly an inspiration, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Tactical Treasures podcast. We just finished up an amazing conversation with Moni Jefferson, who's an active duty Air Force mil spouse, and she is now the CEO of Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, or AMSI. AMSI, Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, was founded in the summer of 2019 and connects military spouse entrepreneurs with the tools and resources needed to become successful in launching and growing their business. AMSI is an exclusive community for military spouse entrepreneurs to start, scale, and sustain their business by creating a global resource data for military spouses to connect, learn, and empower themselves with the tools needed to become successful entrepreneurs. AMSI's hands-on peer-to-peer approach is what sets them apart in the military spouse entrepreneur space. Members get access to an online dashboard, monthly content themes, national subject matter experts, mentorship, resources, and so much more, all in a community of individuals living the same nomadic military lifestyle. Since the membership is hybrid, both virtual and in person, it allows access for military spouses no matter where they are stationed and at any stage of their business. AMSI is composed of members stationed and living globally, active or retired military, those in the ideation stage to the scaling stage of their business. This leads to not only financial stability, but overall happiness and self-confidence, creating a lasting impact on our military families and furthering our mission, readiness as a nation. To learn more, go to amziagency.com. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, you can find Tactical Treasures podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as Vet TV, American Grit, and our dedicated YouTube channel. We are now airing on Reach Across America Radio on Thursdays at 7 p.m. And if you missed that, please join us for the encore on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can find Reach Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye-bye now.